I think that autonomy is very important. I think it's actually a strategic imperative to get as free as we possibly can so that we can chase Stoke and work on the what I call the lifeboat flotilla. Right. So I think a lot about how messed up the world is. I always have. And I want to apply my freedom of action towards doing something about the messed upness of the world. I want to spend my time helping transition things in the direction of the successor cultures that will arise out of the ruins of this one. I want to spend my time working on the flotilla, not being caught up in the bullshit that's going on the ship. In 2021, I got laid off and I had some savings, so I didn't look for another full-time job. I went full on into learning how to live well off of very little money. That was almost treated that as a full-time job. Learning post-consumer praxis. I also traveled the world and I built things and I had a good time. I also tried at this point. I came up with this idea that I called as if FI meaning financial independence. My hypothesis was that if I had a very low cost of living and if I chased Stoke and did things that interested me and was a generally curious and engaged sort of person, that I would incidentally generate enough income, enough money to cover my bills. And I wouldn't have to worry about money. So, in that sense, even though I didn't have whatever fire level stash, that I could generally act as if I was because I was pulling in, some money. And this was kind of inspired by stories you hear about people who fire, they save up a whole bunch of money, they retire, and then while they're traveling or doing whatever they do in their retirement, they find some cool thing to do and they earn money and they're like, oh, well, I actually kind of oversaved because I'm winding up doing cool stuff that I want to be doing that happens to be making me money. That's kind of where I got that idea. But I was like, well, why don't I just skip the whole oversaving part and just get to the like doing cool stuff I want to do while making money part, right? The whole idea is like I would act as if I were financially independent while not actually being, technically speaking, financially independent. I thought it was a great plan. And here's the deal, it kind of worked. I did this between like 2021 and pretty much all of 2023. So a few years there. It kind of worked. It might have worked if I'd kept going with it. It might have worked for me in a way that was sort of durable if I'd kept going with it, and it might work for better for someone wired differently than I am. Um, so how it went for me is that I did things here and there that pulled in about as much money as I was spending, right? Like I did some off-grid PV work and I helped some neighbors out with some stuff. I did some of this, I did some of that. But the reason it didn't, why I say it didn't work, even though I generated enough income, I didn't fail because I ran out of money or that I wasn't earning enough. The reason it didn't really work is that I wasn't able to decouple my brain from the fact that I needed to be bringing in some money. I wasn't able to tap into that as if FI attitude. That was the whole goal. So my goals weren't just like make enough money. My goals were make enough money and act as if I were FI. And that's what I didn't nail. I didn't act as if I was FI. I always had this nagging voice in the back of my head going like, hey, your savings, they're not going to last forever. What are you going to do about that? And I'd say, shut up, voice. Serendipity will provide. And the voice would pretty much just roll its eyes at me and keep thinking about it. So, like sometimes little opportunities would come up to earn money. And it was, I discovered that it was impossible for me to decide to really discern if I actually really wanted to do the thing because I was truly just stoked to do it, intrinsically motivated to do it, or if it's because I knew that I needed to make some money at some point and hey, look, here's some money. This opportunity, it doesn't totally suck. Like, let's just do this. And so those would be weighted more in favor because they threw off money rather than all the other stuff that I wanted to be doing instead. And part of that, what really put the nail in the coffin for me is that I wasn't able to really think big and I wasn't able to think long term. I found myself stopping myself from considering projects that would have more or less made myself unemployable, right? Like, I wouldn't entertain really long trips. I mean, like years long, whatever, like slow bicycle travel or something like that trips. I wouldn't entertain projects that require all of my energy for years at a time, even like creative intellectual projects, whatever, if they weren't potentially remunerable, because I knew that I needed to be making money at some point. And this is like, this might work for some people. There's no reason on paper why it can't work. I happen to be the kind of person who, for example, is unable to relax after dinner until the dishes are done. I'm just, my brain's going like, why are we just sitting here chatting? There's dirty dishes. Like, I'll clean them. And so like, knowing that I have yet to solve money forever makes it so that I cannot relax and let go and just enjoy like doing a long project that may or may not have the financial payoff when I know that I still got to make money to pay my bills and stuff. There's this part of me that won't let that go. So I'm not really wired for that as if FI strategy that I came up with. And, I wrote about it on my blog. I think I talked about it here on my podcast. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that for me, it didn't work out, not because I didn't make money. That worked fine. But because my wiring just kind of wouldn't let me relax. And my vision for my life isn't to just like kind of kick it and, I don't know, relax and like do a little of this and do a little of that. Like there's long-term projects and initiatives and things that I want to be getting after. And I want to be able to put all of my time, all of my attention into those projects, and needing to earn income just got into the way of that. I mean, put another way, to go back to what I was saying, like, I don't want autonomy for the sake of autonomy. I want to work on the flotilla. I want to work on the successor cultures of the year 2400. I want to build the solar punk future I want to live in. That is my freedom too. That's what I want to do. I wanted autonomy so I could decouple the need to earn money from my projects and just dump all of my intention into those projects. So that's why in early 2024, when an opportunity to build a business with some partners in an area that I already had expertise came in, and it seemed like there was a real opportunity there, like I was ready to take it. I'd kind of realized like, okay, this isn't really this as if FI thing. It's not really working for me. So I was ready to say like, okay, like screw it. This opportunity's come up. Let's make a lot of money. Let's solve money forever. Let's do it. Let's put the hammer down. I'm going to like deload the rest of my projects and do this thing. And I wanted to do that because I saw the payoff being able to enter a phase of my life, a mental space in my life where I would no longer have to make decisions considering earning income again. So for the last year and a half, more or less, that's what I've been mostly up to. And incidentally, that's why there haven't been a whole lot of podcast episodes recently. I was also finished my book, which I wrapped up end of last year. So between full-time work and getting my book done, I just didn't have time or mental bandwidth to do things like this, which kind of proves my point. Like I need that cognitive bandwidth to be able to do all the projects that I want to do. Anyway, getting us caught up to the present. A week or two ago, I checked my spreadsheets and I reflected on my position, and I realized that I'm almost certainly going to cross that magical FI threshold here within the next few months, end of the year, something like that. And the nature of the work that I'm doing, that we're building an asset infrastructure that can be sold repeatedly. So it's not like a W-2 job where I just quit. I'm not going to just put in my two weeks notice or something like that. So it's not necessarily a really clear cut, oh, I've crossed the line, turning you 2 weeks notice kind of thing. My intent, now that I've mostly got the infrastructure built, is to work on reducing my hours spent on the business. Now I'm full-time, more than full-time hours. And I want to continue to, basically productize the thing, do more so that I'm not spending as much hours on it, to a much lower number over the next several months, so that by the end of the year, I'm spending only a few hours a week on it. I've hit my FI number, and I basically no longer have to think about money when I'm deciding on what to do, what to spend my time and my attention on. And just FYI, in case you're new here and you're a potential kidnapper or ransomer, the amount of money you need to declare yourself FI when you spend as little as I do is not worth kidnapping anyone over. So just, bear that in mind. Anyways, so that's where I'm at. That's where I'm facing. I'm about to sort of cross this threshold. It's exciting, right? Like I tried a creative approach to autonomy, the as if FI thing. kind of works, but not really for my brain. So I took this business opportunity and I'm going to become actually like not as if, but like legit FI here soon. I'll be able to get after my projects and plans to start working on the flotilla and building the solar punk future of my dreams, which is great, right? Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It is great. Also, it is completely horrifying. Like, it's not just horrifying, it's horrifying and terrifying. Is that not obvious? I mean, I've been talking for years about how if I only had my freedom, man, if I only had my autonomy of action, as Boyd says, then I will single handedly build the lifeboat flotilla, or at least work on a big chunk of it. I'll build all the solar punk shit. I'll make deindustrial art. I'm going to go on a dirtbag tour of North America. I'm going to learn permaculture. I'm going to learn a garden. I'm going to learn hunt and fish. I'm going to build an aquaculture system. I kind of already did that. I'm going to write a bunch more books. I'm going to put a podcast every week. I'm going to write on my website. I'm going to do collaborative engineering art projects with psychedelic mechanical engineers and occultist past house designers. And the only reason I haven't done all of that stuff and more yet is because of this dang money stuff, this distraction of needing to earn money. And I've just stripped away all of those excuses I had. And coming up very soon now, I will have completely removed any excuses whatsoever I may have had as to why I'm not getting after the post-consumer dirtbag solar punk lifestyle of my dreams. I'm not quite there yet, but I will soon have complete responsibility over all of my actions and what I'm doing with my life. Holy shit, that's scary. The crushing responsibility that you understand what I'm saying now? Can you imagine to have all of your bullshit excuses kicked out from under you by yourself, no less? To be faced in the stark, clear light of day with your own reflection in the mirror, the sublime existential horror? It's crushing. It's Lovecraftian. When I imagined and dreamt of freedom, rather, I wasn't aware of this black abyss of horror that I'm not staring into right now, but I'm getting a glimpse of. It's right over there. Like, I'm close enough that I can sense the oozing, tentacly horror, existentially speaking, of what I'm looking at, right? And it makes sense in retrospect. Like, now that I'm here, I'm like, duh, this makes total sense. But I didn't know. And now that I'm here, a number of things are starting to make sense to me. So see, a lot of people who are into FIRE, financial independence, retirement early, they get what's called 1 more year syndrome. They say, I'm not ready to retire yet. What if there's a recession? What if there's blah, 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 interest rate risk? I'll stash away another year's worth of income. And they keep doing that. And that's why it's called 1 more year. 1 more year, then I'll quit. I always assume that these are just people of pathological levels of financial insecurity anxiety. And maybe that's part of it with some people. But now I have another suspicion, which is that these people get close to the edge of total personal responsibility and went, nope, fuck that, and came up with some psychological coping mechanism for needing to earn more as a stalling tactic to figure out what they're going to do with this pit of darkness that they brought themselves to the edge of, right? So anyways, that's not going to dissuade me. I'm not going to do 1 more year syndrome. I actually like existential horror. It's kind of like, it tastes good to me. I'm very excited about it. I have I have too many ideas about what I want to do with my life, my free time, with my autonomy. And the fact that there's like this existential horror and dread component of it, for me, again, for my weird wiring, is like, oh, hell yes. Like, I thought I was just going to be psyched. I'm actually going to be psyched and scared. Amazing. Let's get it on, pretty much, is how I respond to that. So, don't feel sorry for me. I'm not asking for pity. I'm just like noticing a big part of what I'm trying to do, why I do anything on the internet, is because I'm trying to like leave notes about my experience as I go. And I've discovered that sometimes I have a knack for saying the quiet part out loud, and that makes some people uncomfortable. But for other people, they're like, oh, thank you. I'd like that. It was helpful for me to hear that. And that's why I do that. And also so that when I try harebrained schemes and they don't work out, I want to also be able to say like, hey, I tried this thing. It worked. It didn't work. It kind of worked. Like I just said with the as if FI thing, I'm trying to take notes and leave notes behind because I'm trying to do some stuff here. Right. And like this whole intent I have, which I haven't really done yet, right? But this intent that I have that I'm sharing with you that like I want to work on the flotilla, I want to do this solar punk stuff, I want to do this vision I have. It's kind of like but one of my inspirations for it was Buckminster Fuller, who I'm going to mess up the details, but he was a failed businessman basically in like the 20s or so, yeah, 20s, 30s, something like that. He had a bunch of businesses and he was terrible at it. And he was about to kill himself, throw himself off a bridge so his family could get the insurance money and they'd be fine. And he had some kind of epiphany and he decided that he would try to devote his life to he's got a funny way of talking about things, um, but he was going to devote his life to basically making the world a better place through his inventions or whatever. Turn himself into a guinea pig, and he would never consider money. He was somehow able to do that. That was my inspiration for my ASFFI experiment. I was not able to pull it off. I can't raw dog it like Buckminster Fuller could. So I have to cheat and like solve money and then I'll try to get after it. But that's kind of the idea. Like I'm trying to do some things and the fear of this sort of sublime horror of personal responsibility is a component of it that I see kind of as fuel, but also just as a richness to the experience of it. And like Buckminster Fuller, I also want to like document what I'm doing, my failures, my successes, and put it out there for those who are interested in picking up what I'm putting down. So that's the deal. So, like I said, I'm on the business. I'm spending my time productizing it. So I'm reducing my number of hours. I'm kind of forcing myself to spend fewer hours so that I force myself to prioritize the urgent things and the things that will have long-term effects in terms of like value for people that doesn't involve me needing to be there. And as I've been reducing my hours on work, I've been spinning back up a few other projects, namely writing more and getting my shit together to start making podcast episodes regularly again, which is why we're talking. So that leads me to today's announcement that this is going to be the final episode of Advanced Retro-Adaptics. And one reason this is going to be the final version of Retro-Adaptics, Advanced Retro-Adaptics, is right there. I came up with the name and I trip over this stupid word all the time. It's unpronounceable. So look, it's been a good run. I've outgrown the name Advanced Retro-Adaptics. I've got another idea. Don't unsubscribe. It's going to be similar themes. I'm going to change the name of it. All right. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. And we will talk again soon.